Hello and welcome to Archveldor's Hacks with Archveldor and his amazing hacks. Today I'm going to be just talking, not going to be showing you stuff in this particular video, and there's a good reason for that. I've been collecting a whole load of exploits over the last few months where I feel like there's some interest there, and probably the exploit would be very useful to someone in particular, but probably not to everybody. So rather than make individual videos for each of those exploits, I thought I'd just fly around and talk you through them. Also, what I'm going to be doing in this video is just talking more generally about what's going on in the exploit community, the type of ideas that I've been developing, crucially some really interesting mysteries that I've come across in the last few months where I haven't fully developed an exploit or know exactly what's going on, but there's clearly a massive amount of potential there that could potentially be game breaking. Okay, so let's get started. The first exploit I want to talk to you about is something I got off the bug reports. The bug reports on the WoW forums are lucrative and fantastic sources of exploit material. They're supposed to weed out any information which would lead to people actually using exploits. The idea is to fix them, but they often fail in that regard due to the nature of the customer base. There's a particularly interesting one I saw just today, which was to do with Cyclone Raiment. Cyclone Raiment are the tier 4 set for Shaman. Now this tier set has a bonus which is supposed to add 20 spell power if you have 2 pieces of the set of the Cyclone Raiment. If you have 2 pieces of the set, you're supposed to get 20 extra spell power. Now some kind of programming glitch happened, and it turns out that the Shaman's overall spell damage is increased by 20%, which is quite a big deal. It makes Shaman ludicrously overpowered, certainly at lower level. It's the level 60 is right about the level we're talking about. It's quite possible, I don't have a max level Shaman so I can't swear to this, it's quite possible that that may be usable even at high level, even given the extraordinary loss of stats that would accrue from using 2 suboptimal pieces of gear with what we would consider nowadays having no stats on it. But I could be wrong about that. But have fun looking into that one. At the very least, there is a massive opportunity for twinks there while that is not yet fixed. Cyclo Raiment gear, the tier 4 Shaman gear in question, can be found from Karazhan. It'll take you about 1 to 2 hours. Your mileage may vary to get the 2 set. You only need the 2 pieces of the set to get the damage bonus. Another exploit that comes from the official WoW bug report forums concerns the Strand of the Ancients battleground. And apparently what's been happening in Strand of the Ancients ever since the battleground was implemented is that the bombs are glitched. Apparently what's happening is this, that if you put down a bomb right as the round is ending, then the bomb goes off at the beginning of the next round. And if you can envisage this, when you're attacking, you're trying to knock down as many walls as possible and get to the Titan relic. But of course, once the round is over, you're now defending those same walls. You'll probably have noticed if you play a lot of Strands that occasionally as the second round is starting, the walls you're defending just collapse straight away, and this is the explanation. It's bombs from the previous round going off. So there's 2 applications here. One is just for reasons of sheer perversity, you want to blow up your own team's walls. Just an effective form of sabotage. More usefully, something to bear in mind when you're trying to defuse bombs right at the end of the battleground, if you time it perfectly, can give you a huge and game-breaking advantage, because obviously if you can take down the opposing team's walls by not defusing a bomb right at the end of a previous round in exactly the right position, then you have a huge advantage. in that specific situation. It's not necessarily something you'll be able to use every time, but it's something that will stack up in your favour over a number of battlegrounds. The next exploit comes from a series I was making called Secrets of the Black Temple. The Black Temple, which is the end raid of the Burning Crusade expansion, is full of fascinating possibilities for exploiters that I'm still working through. One of the exploits I was going to feature in that series concerns the Essence of Anger, which is the third part of the Reliquary of the Lost encounter. The Essence of Anger has an ability called Seethe, and what this does is it makes you invincible for 6 seconds, and then deals what in the days of the Burning Crusade must have been a lot of damage, but nowadays it's completely inconsequential. And I found that you can get this on your pet, use it essentially as a debuff hack, but instead of using it to increase your damage, you can use it to make your pet temporarily invincible. Now, I'd just like to take the opportunity to discuss a few mysteries in the game that I've encountered recently. These are things where something seems to be going on which is very strange and has enormous exploit potential, but are not as yet reproducible. First thing I'm going to talk about is hunter pets. Now, I was in a Eye of the Storm battleground about a month ago, and I was leveling up a hunter, and it was around level 65. It was the 65 to 69 bracket, and there was another hunter there who had a pet whose level was 3 levels higher than the hunter's own. I think the pet was 69 and he was 66. That's probably not important. Now, this gentleman seemed to have no idea how this had happened, and indeed seemed to be asking the rest of us how it could have happened. And I asked him precisely what he'd been doing and what the possible cause might have been. And he said it was something to do with the fact that he'd been AFK for too long in several dungeons. So there's an interesting possibility there. Obviously, if your hunter pet could outlevel your own class, then that has all kinds of amazing applications. That would be very interesting to follow up. So it does seem to be something to do with the fact that whilst in a dungeon, being in a dungeon for too long, something happened during the moment he went up a level that caused a major glitch. The second mysterious occurrence I'm going to talk about involves debuff hacks. Now, unless you've been sleeping under a rock or you've never seen any of my other videos, you'll probably know the basic premise behind debuff hacks by now. And you'll probably also know that debuff hacks have been used in the past, and possibly the present, to gain baking effect. And many debuffs have already been fixed, some going back into previous expansions. Now, it seems to be the case, I've had a number of different reports confirming this, that debuffs that had supposedly been fixed are now reappearing on certain hunter and other class pets. And it seems that probably due to updates in the software and technology that occurred from patch to patch, some of these debuffs are coming back. And I've had too many reliable reports to dismiss this out of hand as some kind of mistake. That said, I am unable currently to reproduce it. So there's something going on here. And this is really all you can do with this type of thing, if you notice anything weird about any of these old game-breaking debuffs on your hunter pets or other class pets, then follow it up. See if you can record what you're doing and see if you can reproduce the effect. The final thing I'm going to talk about today is a strange experience I had in the Isle of Conquest battleground. There was a mass fight at the workshop between Alliance and Horde. The Alliance came off best, all the Hordes died or fled, and that just left one Orc warrior. He made no attempt to engage us in combat, didn't move the whole time, and when I tried to DPS him down, nothing seemed to work. Just seemed to have no effect on his health at all. Tried AoE, spell steal, there are a number of other players there, threw everything at this guy, and just nothing was working. He was totally invulnerable. I'm guessing this was some kind of phase exploit, possibly a phase exploit that's been published recently on one of the exploit forums. But I wasn't exactly certain how he did it. However he did it, it was very impressive, obviously very clever, and gave us quite an entertaining battleground. Okay, so that concludes this first exploit rundown. Hope you found it entertaining and useful. If you did, please subscribe. I do really appreciate all the support the channel gets. Thank you for watching. This has been Archveldor. Take care.